Welcome. So this is the fourth video in the series, and this one will show you how I use tools on Bharosa Club. So in the previous ones, in part 2, we covered Learn. In part 3, we covered Act, and now in part 4, we are covering tools. So let's click on Tools to get started. Okay. So once we click on tools, we can see that there are lots of things here and one can explore them at leisure. So I'm going to just point out a few things. So the default one is the dashboard view. And here you can see that I have a net investment of 467,000 and it's now worth 422. So I've lost 44,000. Yesterday I gained 1926 and my net XIRR is minus 6.21, and these are really tax saving mutual funds that I have. So the 1 year backtesting excludes tax saving mutual funds. So this is all zero, but here it actually compares your existing portfolio of mutual funds with saying if you had the same portfolio a year ago, then and excluding tax saver funds, how would it compare to a simple portfolio, the Wealthsimple kind of portfolio, which had just a debt fund and a equity fund and at various equity levels. So this is quite a useful thing to look at. Now, also it shows me that the Nifty PE is 26.97 and it's in risky territory because historically anything above 24 is kind of risky. So this is high, and this also brings me a little bit to Wealthsimple. We'll come back to the dashboard a little later, but Wealthsimple, so you can learn a lot about Wealthsimple here. But what it does essentially is that you can add money. So either you can add a lump sum amount or a monthly investment amount, and you can withdraw. Also, you can monitor, and you have statements which are there. And there's also a back test, which we've updated up to 30th June 2010. So, you have all these kind of things, and you can also estimate how your wealth will grow and learn and things. So this talks about the power of compounding and all that kind of stuff. And there is a checklist. You have to view a presentation and agree to all these items before you can use the product. In this, now that the PE is above 26.97, anyone who was a Wealthsimple user, suppose they had a target equity percentage of 60 when they started, and let's say they started a couple of months ago, and if the market had run up since the time that they invested, and their equity percentage was now over 65, and the PE was above 26 like it is, then they would sell 5% or whatever the difference from 60 was, as long as it was over 5%, and it would bring them back to 60. And they won't have to do anything to do this. The system would be tracking this for them. So for some people, this is a great product. The debt part, like I said, is in overnight funds to absolutely minimize the risk. Earlier, it used to be in ultra short, but after Franklin Templeton, it was changed to this ultra short, which I think was a good move by Bharosa Club. And then the equity part is in a Sensex fund, the ICICI approved Sensex fund, which again has very low costs and it tracks the Sensex. So if you are happy with this kind of arrangement, then and you don't want to spend any time, then this could be very good, and it could help you beat a lot of active investment, because this kind of passive investment approach could beat an active investment approach at least 80% of the time. So you may decide to investigate this further. Now, coming back to the dashboard, you'll see that for these numbers to come up, you first have to upload your portfolio. And if you transact outside Bharosa, you'll also have to fix your holdings so that they reflect properly on Bharosa. If you transact through Bharosa, then these things will get automatically updated. But for you to transact through Bharosa or to use Wealthsimple, you need to have a CAN and a Payeezy. Payeezy is not essential. A Payeezy is essential for Wealthsimple, but not for other forms of transacting. So those are some of the details that you'll have to explore and things like that. So the setting up the CAN and Payeezy is not a very easy exercise, but it's not very tough, etc. It just requires a little bit of diligence and effort. So, I had got this done way back. And in fact, if you see here, I have a Payeezy of 1 crore on my account. That means my account can be debited for amounts up to 1 crore, and I can transact automatically without checks and things like that, which has been very, very useful in the past. So, you can explore this, seeing whether you do want to be in mutual funds. And then if you want to be in mutual funds, do you want to set up a CAN, Payeezy, etc.? Or if you do not want to do that, then some of these functionalities and tools will not work for you on Bharosa, but you can transact elsewhere. Okay, so if you go to fixed holdings here, then you can actually upload your CAM statement. So the CAM statement is a statement which pulls all your mutual funds, whichever mutual fund house they are in, and you have to get it in a particular format. And once you get it, then the PDF you give that can be uploaded on Bharosa, including the password. And then Bharosa has built some technology which can read all that and upload that into your portfolio. The technology is not 100% because it uses a parser. So sometimes you have these things like exceptions, which have to be fixed. And you can also, go to the portfolio tab and you can fix your holdings manually as well. Okay. Now, if you've done all this, then for taxes, you can use this capital gains and get your tax statement. So we will see that later in the transact and taxes thing as to how I use it. But this gives you an idea of these kind of tools. Now, you can also set up groups on Bharosa. So I, for instance, have my wife and my mother-in-law and a few people who were like help, whom I was helping with their finances. So I've set them all up in a group and I can access them. If I look at my portfolio on Bharosa, you will see that I have 3 funds, which are the Axis Long-Term Equity Fund Direct, the ICICI Pru Long-Term Equity Fund Direct, and the Motilal Oswal Long-Term Equity Fund. So these are all 3 tax saver funds, which I put investments in at different times. And if I look at, say, the Motilal Oswal one, here are all the transactions that I've done. So I've done some in 2017, for which 3 years are over. So I've redeemed them. So these that were done in 2017 have, some of them have been redeemed. On 12th July 2020, which is a few days away, this particular purchase will be available for redemption, and I may redeem that, and then I can use this whole transact functionality on Bharosa Club, and I'll do that, right? So right now there is no mechanism where Bharosa Club actually reminds me that, hey, this is due for redemption, whatever, but I can once in a while go and monitor and manually end up redeeming them. Okay, so that is how this portfolio and things work. And transact we'll cover in a later section. The order book is just something to do with transactions. and not very important, right? But what I want to really focus on in this video is this compare thing. So this is really very powerful, and it doesn't require you to transact on Bharosa. So you can transact wherever, but you can use this compare to make sure that whatever you're holding, you're not holding lemons. If something that you were holding, which was good at one point, but suddenly became bad, this could you could check that out here. And if you're contemplating fresh purchases, you could also use the tools which are there here to be able to find out whether they are good or bad. So let's take an example. So let's say someone has told me that pharma stocks are good, and they've said, we recommend that you either invest in Alchem Laboratories or Divi Laboratories. So now I want to use compare to see which of these stocks I should invest in. So, okay, so I go in equities checked here, and so equity and balance. So these are the two boxes here, but equity is checked here. So I go and I look at stocks. Okay. Now in stocks, I search for Alchem. Okay, so I got Alchem. Then again, I go here into fund house, and again I go into stocks. Okay, then I go and search for Divi's. These are alphabetical, so it's fairly easy to find. I find Divi's Labs. Okay, so now I found these two, and I want to hit compare. So let's see what it shows me. Okay, so it says that according to Bharosa, Divi's Labs is rated 5 stars, and Alchem is rated 4 stars. But Divi's Labs has minus 115, and this is actually something which is annualized. So actually, Divi's Lab has fallen probably around 10% in the last month, while Alchem has been positive. But in 3 months, Divi's Lab was 50% up, while Alchem was only 4% up. In 6 months, this has been 46.45 up, and this is 25.86. And here in 1 year, it's almost a wash. And then in 3 years, this has been up a lot, while this has, right? It's telling you that this is taking prices up to 1st July 2020. Right, so now this has given me some understanding of these labs and Alchem. Right, so now I can do much more research on these companies and find out. So this is just shown me. Now, if I looked at it and I said, oh, this has fallen a lot in the last month, so I do a very quick analysis, and now that could be good, because if it's a good company and it's fallen for some reason, then it might be a good time to buy. So it's not going to make your buy, hold, or sell decision, but it's going to help you, right? So I can also now go to say large cap stocks, okay, and I can see which are the stocks according to Bharosa which are rated quite highly, right? Now, it's very important to understand the methodology that Bharosa uses for rating. So here it spells out the methodology, and it basically is looking at data for 43 months and looking at performance and consistency of performance, and then rating the stocks. Right, so like if you take large cap stocks here and you look at, say, a stock like IDBI Bank. Now, IDBI Bank has had a massive run up recently. Okay, so that's why its current rank is 2. Okay, but if I went back 1 month and I excluded this massive run up, right, then its rank was 124, right? So if I look at this, I would not at all be tempted to look at IDBI as a good stock, right? So here it also gives you the average rank. And these things on the top, like if you click this, for instance, it's now sorted alphabetically. So it'll be very easy to find a stock, okay? If I sort it by the current rating, then this is now for rating 1. If I do it the other way, it's rating 5. Then these are the number of times it has been a 5-star stock. So 100% in our 7-month kind of thing. This is the average rank. So a stock like Abbott India is done very, very well in our rating methodology, except for if I shifted the thing by 6 months and go back 6 months and then go back another 36 months. Then it's number 13, but that's still pretty high because we are rating about 136 stocks. And otherwise, it's always been 1 or 2, and it's now 4, and the average rank is 3. So I could also sort by average rank, and I get, say, Abbott India, Ipca Labs, Relaxo, Berger Paints, etc. So you could use this again. I would want to caution, and the way I use it is I only use it as a starting point to do more deeper research if I want to actually buy a stock. So this is as far as individual stocks go. Then if you look at balanced here, so this is now talking about balanced mutual funds as well as small cases which are balanced. So this multi-factor tactical is like a small case. And something like Edelweiss Equity Savings Fund Direct Growth is the balanced fund, right? Now, again, here you can see that Edelweiss has a current rank of 4, 1 month, 5, 5, 5, 6, but then it has 22, 21, and 32. So it hasn't done very well across the board, but it's doing quite well. So that way you could again go into average rank and select and see that actually, you know, Axis Triple Advantage Fund has an average rank of 8. So it's not a bad fund, according to this. But again, you'll do deeper analysis, right? Then similarly, the same kind of thing is there for tax saver. So you get the idea. And then it's there for mid and small case, both small cases and mutual funds. So quite a few people that I have seen, I don't do this, but they have many, many mutual funds, right? Which is really wrong according to me, because mutual funds are already diversified. So why do you want to diversify more? So if you have a very large number of mutual funds or small cases or whatever, then you can narrow it down and pick a few, because while the thing goes that you should spread your thing, but since these are already diversified, spreading more doesn't make sense. So actually what I try to do is I try to think of my investments in buckets. So I have a very, very safe bucket where I'm chasing safety and not return. There I'm putting my money in overnight funds. Then I have a tax saver or whatever, which I've taken care of. Then I have like an income bucket where I'm just trying to beat inflation. So there I personally use a small case called all weather investing, which I modify a little bit, which I'll cover in the small case section. And then I have like a growth part of it, which currently, because of all the reading that I've done in the learn section and my own views, I'm kind of a little worried that the market may correct, which I've been quite wrong. Since March, the market has run up, but I'm still maybe in the camp that there may be another fall. So I'm kind of staying out of the market for a little while, but otherwise I would have a fairly large chunk in growth, and that I would also probably do in the small case, in the Bharosa top 150 small case. So that's what I would do on my personal investments. But this can be a really good tool. Now, also, if you look at the large cap, for instance, there are about 110 funds which have been rated. So Bharosa does not rate sector funds and things. They only rate diversified. And then here, if I want to sort, so now if I look at all the ABSL funds, so what is the rating? It's 2, 3, 3, 2, 2. So ABSL does not seem to be doing a very good job. But if I look at Axis as a fund house, then most of their funds are doing, they're all rated. In fact, there are 4 of them here in this category, and all of them are rated 5-star. Okay, the Bharosa Club top 150 small case is also rated 5-star. Okay, if I go into the current rank, then Bharosa Club top 150 is ranked 5. Okay, and you have all these 4 who have are better, and it's interestingly all the 4 who are better are small cases. So this sort of piques my interest in saying, hey, maybe I should look at the small case thing. So now that you've understood this compare tool, and at least for me, the biggest value that I get from Bharosa on a regular basis is using this compare functionality once in a while, just to check out various things as to how are my current things doing, new ideas that I have, can I check them out here, and things like that. Okay, so the small case, if I click this, then there's a very useful thing here. So Bharosa has only one small case that it runs. So for that, it basically gives you all the details. So this was launched on 8th August 2019. So it's not been there for a very long time. While there's a lot of backtest data, but I personally take all this backtest data with a pinch of salt. So I like to look at actual data. So there's actual data for almost a year, about 10, 11 months now, but it shows you the data up to 6 months. So it shows that, Bharosa from 8th August 2019 to now has a gain of 13.28%, while the market has fallen 4.89%. Right, so it's beaten the index by 18.17%, which is phenomenal, right? So these results are very encouraging, but remember that it's in a short period, the track record, right? So if you look at the market peak, so from the market peak, Bharosa has fallen 4.13, while the Nifty 100 has fallen by 15%. Okay, on a 1 month thing, Bharosa is not doing that well compared to the index because it's probably a conservative type of thing. So it's gone up 2.32, but the Nifty 100 has gone up 6.02. While here in 3 months, again, the same pattern, the top 150 has gone up 19.49%, but Nifty 100 has gone up 28.62. Now, if you look at this is like March 23rd was really the bottom. So from there, the market has gone up 28.62%, while Bharosa only has gone up 19.49. Now, if I dig deeper, because I know I've done this thing on this, but you'll find out that Bharosa does not have too many financial services stocks, and they mentioned that on their blog. So if you see here, it says read the blog on Bharosa small case. So if I go to the blog, it tells me that there are 106 subscribers, 4.7 crores, and this month they added Muthoot Finance and Reliance Industries, and they exited out of Torrent and this thing. So performance data, it says that we consider the thing. You will note that our 1 month and 3 month performance, while positive, trails the index. This is primarily driven by a low exposure to cyclical names, consumer durables, BFSI, that outperformed during this period. We feel it is still prudent to keep away from these names given the level of economic uncertainty. So this is what they're telling you. Now, if you feel that you want to still invest in the small case, then that's something that you should do. Otherwise, you could subscribe and then invest at a later point, or you could go to other small cases or other mutual funds or hold stocks or whatever. So this is how I also think about my own investments. And currently, because I believe that the market is going to be going down, which may be right or may be wrong, I have my money in overnight funds and gold, which I will show you when we talk about the small case and stuff. So that is essentially all I wanted to cover in the tools. So just to summarize, I think whether you transact through Bharosa Club or not, Bharosa Club has some excellent tools for you to manage your investments. And these are like unbiased, um, and they should help you a lot in optimizing your portfolio and your investments. Thank you very much for listening to me.